Thanks to the grace of heaven, the great virtues of our holy teachers, the merciful guidance of our Lao Qian and Qian-Ren up in heaven, and thank you, masters and lecturers and all my brothers and sisters for granting me this opportunity to share another topic this afternoon. Today, my topic is Qian-Ren's life of virtue and legacy. When Qian-Ren was with us, to me, she was like nature. We know when we speak about nature, nature is very vast. Its vastness, its beauty, its quiet strength. No matter how hard we try, words can never fully capture the quality of nature. That's how I feel about Qian-Ren. And today I share this with you. I can only speak from the bottom of my heart and do my very best. After Qian-Ren returned to heaven, we came to understand that this even more deeply. She truly is like Mother Nature because she always gives, she always nurtures, and she never asks for credit or recognition. We don't say thank you to Mother Nature every day, right? In fact, sometimes people even complain about the weather, complain about nature, and yet we can't live without nature. And that's how Qian-Ren was, always there, quietly sustaining us, whether we notice her or not. She is like the sun shining warmth into our lives without asking for returns. And like the moon, gently lighting our darkest nights, like the air we breathe, silent, invisible, yet sustaining our every moment. Her vows are like the endless rhythm of the seasons, everlasting, never fading. Even now, though we cannot see her with our eyes, her love, her guidance, and her strength continue to flow through our lives, just as nature's blessings. So I'd like to share a few verses from an oracle, from a holy revelation given by our holy teacher. In these verses, holy teacher spoke with great praise for Qian-Ren. Holy teacher said, you here means Qian-Ren, you have poured your whole heart and strength into fulfilling your vows. You have spared no effort in Tao propagation at every moment. And we notice every moment here. That means our Qian-Ren spared no effort. It was a devotion that never tired, never stopped. And everything you have done is clearly known in heaven. That means all of Qian-Ren's devotion was seen in heaven, and all Buddhas knew it. And all the Buddhas and immortals are deeply moved, and they rush to assist you wherever you go. Yes, Qian-Ren has received heaven's help, and that is truly remarkable. Her devotion so deeply moved the Buddhas that they hastened to help her. And Holy Teacher continued to expound. And it's not only people who are eager to help you. Wherever you arrive, the local guardian deities hurry to gather sentient beings for you, the venerable master, to transmit Tao. So every nation and every place has its own local guardian deities. And in their eyes, Qian-Ren was worthy of the title Venerable Master because of her virtues. Holy Teacher said, such miracles are by no means accidental. They are the results of affinities accumulated over a long, long time. These affinities have been cultivated over many lifetimes. This is our Qian-Ren. There's a saying, a person's life can only be truly judged after they are gone. In Chinese, we say 盖棺论定. But our Qian-Ren was so extraordinary. She had already received the praises of Buddhas while she was still here in this world. And that shows just how special she was. And we are truly blessed and honored to be her followers. When I was in New Zealand, I heard two remarkable stories about Qian-Ren. One time, some Dao members accompanied Qian-Ren to go window shopping. And in the downtown area in Auckland, the city of Auckland, downtown area, they met a young Caucasian man who worked in a watch shop. And the moment he saw Qian-Ren, he suddenly knelt down and bowed. The Dao members with Qian-Ren were very surprised and asked him, "Why are you doing this?" His answer was simple but powerful. He said, "I just felt that I had to." And another story happened in a restaurant. Qian-Ren wasn't feeling well that day, so she was in a wheelchair. And when the Dao members pushed her toward the restroom, they passed by the restaurant owner who was sitting behind the counter. And the instant she caught sight of Qian-Ren, she jumped up and rushed out from the counter and stared at Qian-Ren's back, crying out, "Buddha, Buddha." So that's not something you would expect to see, especially in a modern Western country like New Zealand. But the truth is, these miracles were not by chance. There was a deeper reason behind them. The stories about people bowing to Qian-Ren or calling her Buddha were not coincidences. Instead, they happened because of Qian-Ren's deep vows. Deep vows, her spiritual power, and the affinities she had cultivated over a long time. Qian, the Chinese character, Qian, we transliterated into English. Qian is the transliteration of the character Qian, which means before or preceding, and Ren, Ren, the transliteration of the Chinese character Ren, which means person. So Qian-Ren literally means the person who came before us. And we also, sometimes we use the translation, the senior elder. So most of the time we will use the term 前人, the transliteration, but sometimes we will say senior elder, means the same, means the one and only 前人. In our Dao community, 前人 carries a much deeper meaning. 前人 is not only the one who came before us in time. She is the one who sacrificed for us, who devoted her life, who cleared the thorns and opened the way so that we could follow. There's a beautiful saying, "Those who plant trees may never sit in their shade, but later generations will." 前人种树，后人乘凉. And that is exactly what Qian-Ren did for us. She planted those trees with her love, her vows, and her tireless efforts. And today, we, the later generations, are the ones sitting in the shade, enjoying the blessings and the fruits of Dao community because of her. How can we not feel deep gratitude and reverence for her? The meaning of Qian-Ren is truly profound, and in sharing this topic, we are not only remembering Qian-Ren with gratitude, but also reflecting on her virtue and conduct. It is through this virtue and this conduct that she continues to inspire us to remain grateful for all that we have received and to walk in her footsteps as our way of repaying the grace of heaven. Qian-Ren, our senior elder. Our Qian-Ren's family name was Chen. Her given name was Hongzhen. She was also known by her courtesy name Yingru and her Dharma name Yuanzhen. Qian-Ren was highly praised by the Buddhas, and she propagated Tao with great success. She had thousands upon thousands of followers. But from a small card, we can glimpse her inner world and understand why she was so successful in both cultivating and propagating Tao. In the 1980s, many of these cards were printed. On the upper right corner, there was a blank space where Qian-Ren would write the name of the 后学, the junior cultivator, whenever she wanted to encourage someone. And yet, on one of these cards, Qian-Ren wrote her own name. Qian-Ren wrote her own name here, Yuan-Zhen, in that space as a way of encouraging herself. And the words she wrote were, translation, as a memento for cultivator Yuan-Zhen Chen, we have already given rise to the Bodhisattva's heart of compassion. We are cultivating the dignified presence of a Bodhisattva, and we are practicing the deeds of a Bodhisattva. Therefore, we must preserve this compassionate heart, manifest the noble presence of a bodhisattva, and carry out the actions that a bodhisattva should perform. Words of advice given by Fengzhen Chen. So it is a self-encouraging words. So we can see that the secret behind Qian-Ren's success was humility. She always believed there was room for her self-improvement. She encouraged herself in the same way she encouraged her 后学. So in this way, she led by example. She continually reminded herself to live in accordance with her original vows, 不忘初发心, never forgetting that first compassionate pledge, and that is 前人. Okay, let's go to part 2. The virtuous life and legacy of a bodhisattva. Qian-Ren, born with a sacred mission. Qian-Ren came from heaven and was born into this world with a sacred mission. The night before Qian-Ren was born, her mother and grandmother both dreamed of the goddess of mercy, Guanxin Pusa, who was sending a baby to the Chen's family ancestral shrine. So she came from heaven and under the guidance of the goddess of mercy. She was born on November 30th, 1923 in Tianjin, China. Here. And Tianjin was a directly governed municipality and the largest coastal city in northern China. Qian-Ren's father served as a chairman of Tianjin Chamber of Commerce and was also a philanthropist. Qian-Ren's father. Her father was wealthy, and her family life was filled with happiness. We can see from this old photo. And Qian-Ren received Tao in 1940 when she was 18 years old. And in 1943, at the age of 21, she was given a very special opportunity to have an audience with our holy teacher, our Sizun. And during those years, our Sizun was very busy and came to Tianjin only once a year. And on those visits, Sizun would either meet a few very senior disciples or select certain disciples to become Tao transmitting masters. At that time, Qian-Ren was still young, but perhaps because of her profound spiritual foundation, she was given the rare opportunity to be introduced and have an audience with the Holy Teacher. And during this meeting, Holy Teacher encouraged Qian-Ren to emulate the spirit of Guanyin Bodhisattva. Qian-Ren once recalled that when she was first introduced to Holy Teacher, some seniors reminded her, keep your head bowed and never look directly into Holy Teacher's eyes. So, with great caution and nervousness, she entered. And Holy Teacher kindly asked her very simple questions like, what is your name? What is your father's name? Where do you live? Finally, Holy Teacher asked, in which direction does your house face? Qian-Ren answered, our house faces west. But in fact, her house faced east. When Qian-Ren told this story, she said, Holy Teacher is truly a living Buddha. Because Holy Teacher gently corrected her, you must have remembered it incorrectly because your house faces east. And to this, Qian-Ren replied with humility, yes, Holy Teacher, I was too nervous. I was wrong. Our house does face east. Holy Teacher said, don't be nervous. Open your eyes. So Qian-Ren opened her eyes. And how extraordinary. What a magnificent scene, because Holy Teacher's eyes were so bright and shining with spiritual radiance. Then Holy Teacher asked her, have you set your life goals? Have you made a resolution to achieve them? Chen-Ren replied, Holy Teacher, I have set my goals since childhood. At the age of 14, I had already realized the emptiness of worldly pursuits and resolved to find a true path of spiritual cultivation. Now that I have received the great Tao, I vow to cultivate Tao and dedicate my life to propagating Tao. Hearing this, Holy Teacher nodded with a smile and said, very good, excellent. I urge you to follow the example of Guanyin Bodhisattva. But you must understand, along the way, you will face many tests, many obstacles. You must be strong. You must endure. And since you have made this resolution, you must follow in the footsteps of Guanyin Bodhisattva. Can you do that? At that moment, Chen-Ren thought to herself, I'm just an ordinary girl, and this is my very first time meeting Holy Teacher, and already he is encouraging me to emulate the spirit of Guanyin Bodhisattva. Qian-Ren's heart was filled with both joy and awe. Immediately, she knelt down before Holy Teacher and said, Holy Teacher, I vow to emulate Guanyin Bodhisattva. Please give me strength. No matter how many trials or tests I may face, I will never retreat. Even if I do not succeed, I will dedicate my very life to repay your trust in me. And Holy Teacher joyfully, compassionately said, excellent, 太好了, rise. I will not be mistaken about you. This is very famous. In Chinese, Holy Teacher say, 错不了,错不了. I will not be mistaken about you. I will wait for you. Yes, I will not be mistaken. And because of Holy Teacher's expectations and the deep trust he placed in her, Qian-Ren never dared to forget his compassion throughout her entire path of Tao cultivation and propagation. And she never failed to live up to his hopes. She often said, in this life, no matter how exhausted I may be, even if it wears me down completely, I must still dedicate myself to carrying out heaven's work and to assisting in our holy teachers. The opportunity to receive holy teachers' guidance completely changed Qian-Ren's life, and it completely changed our lives as well. Think about it. If not for Qian-Ren, where would we possibly be today? If not for Qian-Ren, there will be no class today. We don't know where we will be. Starting Tao propagation in Taiwan. It was a very important turning point in Qian-Ren's journey of Tao propagation, the storm on the sea. Without this storm, Fa Yi Chongde might not even exist today. In 1947, at the age of 25, Qian-Ren was chosen to go to Taiwan to propagate Tao. Here's Tianjin. Qian-Ren traveled by sea, went to Taiwan. Because of the illness, she decided to return home to receive medical treatment. As she returned home, in the middle of the sea, Qian-Ren's ship was struck by a sudden violent storm. On the sea, it was about to capsize. And the captain cried out, "Strange! The sky was very clear, and yet such a storm. I have never seen this before." And Qian-Ren suddenly realized, could this storm have come because of my vow is unfulfilled? She knelt down on the deck and prayed, "If this storm is because of me, I beg heaven's compassion to calm it within 10 minutes. I'm going back to mainland China only to see my parents and regain my health, but I will surely return to Taiwan to fulfill my vow." Amazingly, in an instant, the sea became calm. And this storm became the turning point that led Qian-Ren to return to Taiwan once again. In 1948, after Susannah passed away, Qian-Ren attended the repentance class. And in the class, she took a great vow, the vow of celibacy, which means vow to be single all her life and would devote all her life and energy to Tao cultivation and propagation. So, and also she made the great vow to shoulder calamities in order to save the world. And that August, she followed Lao Qian-Ren and then returned to Taiwan once again. And at the beginning of propagating Tao in Taiwan, Lao Qian-Ren and Qian-Ren encountered many challenges and hardships. First, financial hardships caused by hyperinflation. Tao propagation in Taiwan was filled with challenges and hardships. In the early days, Taiwan faced hyperinflation. 40,000 old Taiwan dollars were suddenly converted into just one new Taiwan dollars overnight. And then on top of that, there was a political ban on propagating Tao. Because of this, Qian-Ren was once imprisoned for 28 days. Tao propagation was prohibited and people who propagated Tao was put into prison. And then language barriers. As a newcomer speaking a different language, Qian-Ren faced countless difficulties in spreading Tao. Language barriers, no proper means of transportation, and the high cost of rickshaws all added to the difficulties. But heaven helps those who persevere through hardships. At last, many miracles occurred, and people came in great numbers to receive Tao. Among all the hardships she went through, the hardest to bear was homesickness. She had such loving parents, but the separation felt endless. It lasted for decades until her parents passed away. Just imagine the pain in her heart. In 1984, when Qian-Ren's mother became seriously ill and cross-strait travel was still forbidden, Qian-Ren faced an agonizing choice. On the one hand, Tao members from places like Thailand, Japan, Singapore, and Malaysia were ready to do everything possible to help her return to Tianjin to see her mother. On the other hand, because of the political tensions, if she went back, she might never be able to return to Taiwan again. So you can picture how heavy this decision was. After many days of struggling, Qian-Ren chose to give up her last chance to see her mother. for the future of Dao propagation in Taiwan and for the many Dao members who depended on her. She stayed on the Dharma boat, Taiwan. Therefore, Qian-Ren asked Mr. Zhang from Thailand to visit her mother on her behalf. Her mother then entrusted Mr. Zhang with this jacket and a letter to deliver to Qian-Ren. The jacket, the letter. And the letter read, "My daughter Hongzhen, I have asked Mr. Zhang to bring this jacket to you. When you see it, it will be as if you are seeing me. Keep it as a lasting memory. Mom, 1984." By the time Qian-Ren received the jacket, however, her mom had already passed away. Throughout her life, Qian-Ren gave countless lectures on filial piety. Yet, when it comes to her own mother, she was not only unable to be at her bedside during her critical illness, but also unable to attend her funeral. And the sorrow was unbearable. We can only imagine how bitterly she wept, even as she forced herself to remain strong before all the juniors. Qian-Ren is truly a role model of fulfilling the highest form of filial piety, bringing honor and glory to her parents. 扬名于后世，以显父母。When Dao propagation was beginning to flourish, a severe ordeal struck in 1980. It began in the Taipei Dao community. Some of the core members of the college section, for some personal reasons, they began to question Qian-Ren, and they spread rumors and even went so far as to claim that the holy revelations were fake. And because of this, many senior Dao members lost their faith. Public temples were forced to close, and some temple hosts even carried off the furniture, the chairs, even the blackboards, and taking them back to their own homes. For Qian-Ren, this was unspeakably painful because she said it felt as if she had been slapped in the face by her own children. A severe ordeal in 1980. Qian-Ren's father once told her, "There is no flaming mountain in this world that cannot be crossed." Facing so many difficulties, Qian-Ren always encouraged herself with the words her father told her when she first left home for Taiwan, 在天津码头. Qian-Ren's father told Qian-Ren, "There is no flaming mountain in this world that cannot be crossed." This saying comes from the very famous ancient novel, 西游记, Journey to the West, where the Flaming Mountain was a famous obstacle that the Monkey King and his companions had to cross. Her father used the Flaming Mountain as a symbol of the greatest challenges and obstacles in the journey of Dao cultivation and propagation, to remind her that no obstacles in this world is truly insurmountable. And with that conviction, Qian-Ren was always able to face challenges head-on and never retreat. During Qian-Ren's history of Dao propagation, she not only faced countless trials and hardships, but many times even risked her own life. Yet she always marched forward bravely, never once turning back. And today I will share just a few stories. In those years, because the government prohibited large-scale public lectures, so our senior elder had to find other ways to encourage the juniors to cultivate Dao. And one way was to organize mountain climbing and hiking activities. And during mountain climbing, Qian-Ren could speak to the juniors and encourage them. And in 1959, Qian-Ren coughed up blood 7 times in a row due to chronic stomach disorders because of this. In 1959, Qian-Ren arranged several mountain climbing events to help college students understand Tao. And there were many students, so they were divided into groups and climbed the mountain one group at a time. But Qian-Ren personally accompanied each group back and forth. And in the end, her body could no longer endure. She began coughing up blood from chronic stomach disorders and worsened by years of overwork and fatigue, and had to be hospitalized for several days. And yet, even in the hospital, she felt uneasy lying in bed. She said, "My duty is to propagate Tao, not to rest here." As soon as she felt a little better, she could not wait to leave the hospital and return to her work. And in 1982, Qian-Ren lost her voice after giving too many lectures in a short period of time. For most people, that would have been a very good reason to take a rest. But Qian-Ren had an important meeting to attend, and she needed to speak during that meeting. So Qian-Ren found another way. She thought of the plums. There's an old saying, when you see sour plums, your mouth begins to water. So Qian-Ren placed a plate of sour plums on the table and kept one in her mouth. And then she prayed to heaven that heaven would help her say just a few words, maybe 4 to 5 minutes during the meeting. But miraculously, her speech lasted for more than half an hour. And this spirit of risking her very life to preach Tao moved both heaven and humanity. And it was through this spirit that her Tao propagation advanced so quickly. In 1994, while in Singapore, Qian-Ren was suddenly hospitalized with a facial nerve disorder. At first, she was so worried. She thought it might be a stroke. But once the doctor confirmed it was only a facial nerve disorder, he told her, "Don't worry, you will recover in about a month. You'll be fine." But Qian-Ren felt relieved for a moment and said, "All right then, in that case, I want to check out tomorrow." And the teacher said, "What? You have to rest." But Qian-Ren answered firmly, "I want to check out of the hospital tomorrow. I must go to Jakarta. There will be an inauguration ceremony for the Central Tao Temple." Here is the picture of the Central Tao Temple in Jakarta. And in that year, 1994, there was an inauguration ceremony for the Central Tao Temple, and Qian-Ren was invited to preside over this ceremony. And more than 1,000 people, Qian-Ren said, more than 1,000 people are waiting for me. I cannot let them down. And the doctor finally said, "Okay, if you really want to go, then you must sign a statement declaring that if you leave, your life or death will have nothing to do with me. I'm not responsible for your living." And without hesitation, Qian-Ren asked the master beside her to prepare the document immediately, and the very next day, she flew to Jakarta. Qian-Ren had worked so hard with such tireless devotion that she even moved heaven. There was a time when Holy Teacher bestowed an oracle to encourage her, and that revelation spoke directly to her homesickness It expressed her feelings completely. It was as though Holy Teacher were saying, I understand your pain. I understand your difficulties. And in the end, the oracle gave 6 simple words. You work so hard. You must be tired. Take a rest. 1979 oracle. 辛苦了，休息吧。You work hard. You must be tired. Take a rest. Usually, Holy Teacher encourages all the disciples to keep pressing forward, never straying from the Tao Temple, never straying from Tao seniors, never straying from the scriptures. 不离道场，不离前贤，不离经典。But this time, Holy Teacher told Qian-Ren to rest. These 6 words, 辛苦了，休息吧, reveal her uniqueness. She was a true bodhisattva, so utterly selfless in her devotion that even heaven had to remind her when it was time to rest. After enduring so many trials and tribulations, at last came the time when Tao propagation advanced rapidly. When Tao affairs began to flourish, Qian-Ren revealed her great leadership. In 1984, after the Great Ordeal in Taipei, she organized the teams of loyalty and righteousness, 忠义自班. In 1986, these teams had spread throughout Dao communities across Taiwan, and by 1989, they had also been established in Dao communities overseas. Qian-Ren encouraged us to follow the example of Guanxin Dijun, Lord Guan, the Dou Buddha, and to embody his spirit of loyalty and righteousness. The team of loyalty, to be steadfastly loyal to heaven with complete selflessness. The team of righteousness, to support fellow Dao members with righteousness, compassion, and sympathy. Qian-Ren also implemented group leadership with concerted coordination. One day, while riding in her car, Qian-Ren noticed a hillside not far away, filled with flourishing flowers and trees. She turned to the Dao members beside her and said, 发一崇德, group leadership, and concerted coordination are just like this hillside. No matter where you come from or who you may be now, as long as you are within 发一崇德, you will grow strong, you will grow well, and you will blossom beautifully. Qian-Ren also reminded us it's nothing special for one person to be outstanding. What truly matters is helping everyone to shine together. Qian-Ren often reminded us, whether talented or not, everyone has their own unique gift. Everyone has their own worth, and each person has a unique contribution to make. She also said, in the Dao community, every person has a role to fulfill, and every task will find the right person to carry it out. No one is left idle, and no task is left undone. This was not only Qian-Ren's promise to us, it was also her expectation of us. Dao communities and Dao centers. Under Qian-Ren's great leadership, Dao has spread beyond Taiwan to Japan, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, and the United States, as well as Europe and Africa. It has now successfully reached 53 countries worldwide. And today, across the world, 发一崇德 has 9 Dao communities in Taiwan, 7 overseas Dao communities, and 17 Dao centers. This is a holy revelation given by our holy teacher and Guanyin Bodhisattva. It is a heaven's blueprint already laid out. Qian-Ren devoted her life to bringing it into reality. Now, we too are called to continue this work. That is why each of us has received Tao, so that together we may help fulfill heaven's plan. Qian-Ren and the English Talent Group. In Taiwan, we held an English camp every year. And this picture here is from the very first camp back in 2001. So you can see Qian-Ren in the middle was right there with us. And here is 2002 picture. And then 2003. And then another group photo, 2003. Qian-Ren was with the English camp every year until 2003. But in 2004, her health started to decline, so Qian-Ren no longer was able to stay with us. But during those 3 years, Qian-Ren stayed with us through the whole 2-day camp. And sometimes she even had to step out for an important event somewhere else. But Qian-Ren would always tell us that she needed to leave for a while, but still she always made the effort to be with us for all day long, for 2 days. And that really shows how much importance she placed on the English group. Now, this doesn't mean Qian-Ren was showing favoritism. Not at all. It was because Qian-Ren truly loves you. Qian-Ren loves everyone in the world who doesn't speak Mandarin, but still needs to receive Tao, still needs to learn Tao and practice Tao, still needs to return to heaven. So Qian-Ren was using the English group as a bridge reaching out to every corner of the world. Qian-Ren is not an ordinary person. She carried on the Tao lineage after Lao Qian-Ren returned to heaven. Qian-Ren continuing the lineage of Tao. And this picture was taken at the main temple of the Japan Tao community. It shows the moment when our holy teacher here, channeling through a holy medium, transmitted the light, symbolizing the heavenly decree to Qian-Ren. The picture was taken in 1995 in Japan. In 1997, there was a holy revelation that confirmed Qian-Ren's heavenly decree. In that oracle, our holy teacher bestowed on Qian-Ren the title of Eternal Helmsman. From then on, Qian-Ren has been and will always be the one guiding the Dhamma boat of Fayi Congde, because Qian-Ren is our eternal helpsman. When Qian-Ren was about to leave us, she told the masters beside her. Qian-Ren said, "I won't leave you. I'll always be here to guide everyone." Our beloved Qian-Ren returned to heaven on January 6, 2008. Heavenly Mother bestowed her the heavenly title of Bu Xiu Qi Pusa, never resting Bodhisattva. Now our beloved Qian-Ren is in heaven, but she wants us to know this. She has never truly left. She is still right here, guiding us every step of the way. Bu Xiu Qi Pusa's merciful words. I firmly believe that if Each of you holds firmly to your vows and to the integrity of a cultivator. Heavenly Mother and all the Buddhas will surely come to help you. You are not orphans. We have Heavenly Mother, and you have me, your eternal helmsman. I promise to keep leading you until all my followers become sages and Buddhas, and my vows will never end. Having shared so many touching stories of Qian-Ren's life and conduct, we may ask ourselves, how can we truly emulate her? Is it to become a senior elder with thousands upon thousands of followers? No, of course not. That is not what it means. Because the achievement in Tao affairs depends on each person's affinity and the mission entrusted to them. Not everyone can be like our Qian-Ren. However, in the 崇德 home letter, 崇德家书, the Bodhisattva who never rests tells us that each of us should know this. In 崇德家书, Qian-Ren said, pass down the virtues, pass down the spirit. Qian-Ren's virtues and spirit are her true legacy to be lived out by us and passed on to future generations. So let's share some stories about Qian-Ren's virtues and spirit. The characteristic of honoring patriarchs and respecting the elders is one of to me, I feel it is very important, a very important quality as a cultivator. Honoring patriarchs and respecting the elders, and Qian-Ren is a very good role model for all of us. Qian-Ren always gave all the credit to heaven, to 老祖师, 师尊 and 师母, and 老前人. She would say again and again, it's only through the grace of heaven, the virtues of 老祖师, 师尊 and 师母, and the great leadership of 老前人, that 法医崇德 style propagation could have become so successful. She never mentioned herself. She never mentioned herself. When she mentioned herself, she would say, she would constantly remind herself by saying, I must work even harder. I have not worked harder enough. I must even work harder for 老祖师, 师尊, 师母, 老前人 and 前人. This is the very mark of selflessness. And Qian-Ren's spirit, the spirit of never resting. This is also from my perspective. Now, I would like to share some stories about the spirit of never resting. Qian-Ren's spirit of never resting can be summed up in one phrase: to work tirelessly, day and night, unceasing, around the clock. The first story. What time is it? One day, Qian-Ren was having a meeting with Tao members. It was already 1 o'clock in the morning, which means 1 a.m., late at night, 1 a.m. And the meeting was still not over, and everyone was exhausted except Qian-Ren. And suddenly, Qian-Ren received a phone call. And after Qian-Ren finished, she asked, 现在几点了? It sounded as if she were asking, what time is it? Everyone felt relieved and quickly answered, Senior Elder, it's already 1 a.m. But Qian-Ren shook her head and said, I wasn't asking about what time it is. I was asking, which point are we discussing now? In Mandarin, the word 点, 几点了, 点, can mean a clock or the point. And that was Qian-Ren's spirit of never resting, always focused on serving sentient beings and never distracted by the passing of time. And second story, we cultivators should persist to the end. One day, Qian-Ren was holding a year-end review meeting and listening through session after session of reports. The young dog members were growing dizzy. Some even had headaches and stiff shoulders. But Qian-Ren, on the contrary, listened with even greater enthusiasm as the hours went on. And she encouraged the young people, saying, "We cultivators must persist to the very end." And in that moment, the senior elder showed more spirit than the young members. It shows us that true strength and energy are not determined by age, but by the spirit of enthusiasm within. So that all the young people felt tired, but Qian-Ren was full of enthusiasm. The third story, the most frequent flyer over 70 years old. When she was in her 70s, a custom officer at Taiwan Taoyuan Airport said that Qian-Ren was the most frequent flyer of all travelers over 70. And taking a meal box instead of having a dinner. One day, right after the closing ceremony of a Tao seminar, Qian-Ren had to preside over the opening ceremony of a new temple. So the people at the seminar invited Qian-Ren to stay for dinner, but Qian-Ren replied, "Sitting down for dinner will take 40 minutes and cause you unnecessary trouble because you need to serve me. So I'll just take a meal box and eat it in the car." Getting 3 days work done in one day. Qian-Ren managed to complete the work of 3 days in just one, and she never took a holiday. She worked tirelessly all year round without a single day off. A leave of absence not approved. Chen said, "Sometimes I feel tired too. Whenever I felt tired and wanted to take a rest, then there will be two people inside of me. Two selves would appear inside of me. One would ask for leave, but the other would instantly respond, 'Request denied.' So there will always be a strong master, like a strong boss, say, 'No, request denied, no leave.' That is the spirit of never resting Bodhisattva, who never rest because of her great compassion toward all the sentient beings. The virtue of four immeasurables, also from my perspective. When Qian-Ren was still with us, she often expounded on the holy revelation of the four immeasurables to inspire us and even urged us to commit it to memory, to memorize the 四无量心 by heart. And these two photos were taken in 2005 when Qian-Ren was writing the calligraphy. She even hung it on the wall. You can see the calligraphy, the work of calligraphy were hung on the wall to show how important it was. And in 2007, we know Qian-Ren passed away in 2008, January 2008. So in 2007, Qian-Ren's health was really not good. So even when she was unwell, Qian-Ren still managed to write the calligraphy of the four immeasurables, which vividly expressed her heartfelt expectations for us. 只有奉献，没有条件，只为词啊。These pieces of calligraphy were done in 2007. To devote without conditions is true loving kindness. And that is the very definition of altruism, without conditions. To sacrifice without self-centeredness is true compassion. True compassion is when you cannot bear to see others suffer, and then you seek to relieve their pain, and then you forget yourself in the process. To sacrifice without self-centeredness is true compassion. And fulfilling duty without demanding rights is true appreciative joy. In the temple, if we just do our duty without demanding our rights, we'll be much happier. We'll be much happier. And giving without desire for possession is true generosity. I really feel that during the last few years with Qian-Ren, she wanted so much to pass on the virtue of the four immeasurables to us. Lastly, Qian-Ren asks us to remember these words. Don't forget, I am the never-resting Bodhisattva. I am still here with you. Nurture your aspirations and transform your thoughts of me into strength so that you may spread the truth of the great Tao. Hope that when people see you, they can witness the conduct and feel the virtues of 祖师, 师尊, 师母, 老前人, and all the seniors, because all the 后学, all the people in future generations, they will not be able to see, to witness the conduct of 师尊, of 祖师, 师尊, 师母, 老前人, and 前人. But 前人 expect that when people see us, they can see the conduct and feel the virtues of 祖师, 师尊, 师母, 老前人, and 前人. So you can see the high expectations 前人 has for us. Lastly, let us have a good wish. May 不修习菩萨 forever dwell in our hearts and illuminate the path before us. Though Qian-Ren never visited South Africa while she was with us, we believe her divine radiance pervades everywhere, shining upon us here too. And this is the end of my sharing today. If I have made any mistakes, I sincerely ask for the forgiveness of God, the Buddhas, and 不修习菩萨, as well as the understanding and tolerance of all my brothers and sisters. Thank you.